Hello everyone, welcome to our weekly live stream. Here we are discussing everything about search and AI. Those are overlapping everywhere, so we are discussing mostly both because one cannot exist without the other at this point. Before we go into our main topic of today, which is a hot one, promise it will be interesting. A few updates from our industry, which I try to do every week unless I forget. So this week, a new Google update has started. That is a spam update, and we are going to see which ones have been impacted by that. Google will not, unfortunately, tell us which spam tactic it is targeting every time. Unfortunately, because that would be a great way to educate our clients what not to do and how not to do things that can be done but not at scale. But we will definitely guess what is being targeted at this point because there are lots of people that are tracking the impact for other sites as well as for their own clients, which is what we are going to do as well. Something that has happened since the beginning of this year is obviously Google started targeting self-serving listicles. I don't think there was any official word from Google about that or even official update coinciding with this trend, but we see a lot of websites that were publishing a lot of self-serving listicles, comparing themselves to their competitors and also putting themselves as the best option. They are losing positions for those listicles, so great news. Of course, there are quite a few still existing. I'm sharing those on my social media if you want to keep track of those. What is being targeted, what has survived, which tactics are being hurting or helping you. That is all I'm trying to share on my social as well as on my subreddit. That is SEO for AI. You can Google it, SEO for AI Reddit, or I hope someone from my team will share those in the comments for this stream. Another interesting thing that I also shared on my subreddit was a new study by Kevin Eiding. I don't know. I'm sorry, Kevin. I can never pronounce last names well. I'm sure I hope it's not offending to anyone because no one can get my last name as well. But the new study that I shared on my subreddit was interesting because Kevin was looking at most cited URLs in different industries. And what he found was that the longer the article, the better cited it is, which is, again, we saw that those studies in traditional SEO as well. I do believe there is more about correlation than causation here. Those longer URLs, pages are probably better researched. They probably got more signals. They probably rank better. Unfortunately, no AI or LLM study overlaps organic visibility to their findings. AI visibility tools are not doing that either, which is unfortunate because at this point, organic visibility is 60% of success to being cited. So without that chunk of data, all those visibility tracking and LLM tracking studies are missing an elephant in the room. So I hope someone who's doing those studies will hear me and start implementing our own traditional organic SEO data anytime they do studies or apply visibility tracking to their tools. Again, SEO for AI is where I'm sharing all this interesting stuff that may help you in your strategy or may just help you brainstorm your next project that you want to help in organic and LLM visibility. And today the topic is even more interesting because everyone is on top of that, and that is again Reddit. We are discussing Reddit every other week at this point, not because for the lack of exposure. I know Reddit topics are usually much more engaging when you start talking about Reddit on social media. Everyone is on top of that. But it is also because there is so much misunderstanding. And obviously, it is well expected because Reddit became popular among businesses and marketers about a year ago, not more. It's very fresh, so not many people really understand how to approach it better. Fortunately for us, we've been on Reddit for more than 14 years, so we definitely know how to navigate it right and what to do and what not to do. So we are here to help you with that. As long as understand Reddit influence and Reddit position in this SEO AI world that we are trying to figure out as well. You kind of need to know both at this point, maybe even three things you need to know to understand, to make more informative, more impactful decisions when it comes to your strategy. You need to know traditional SEO, you need to understand how LLMs work, and you need to know how Reddit works. All these three things at a time, a little bit challenging to figure them out, all of them out. Fortunately, we have years and years of experience in two of those at least. I'm an SEO for 20 years. April has been on Reddit for pretty much the same timeline, maybe like 16, 15 years at least. And we are pretty good at LLMs at this point. I don't claim to be an expert. Everyone who claims to be an expert in LLM visibility is lying for many reasons, I believe so. You can be very technical, but not understand what to do. You can have no technical knowledge, but still think that you know what you're talking about. And also, let's not forget that all those LLMs are changing all the time. And so how can you be an expert of something that is never the same? They're very diverse. They all work differently. They use different data for their training data, for their citations. They work differently all the time. I just reported over at my subreddit that ChatGPT, for example, switched from 3 citations to 20 within a day. Now it is searching more, it is checking more sources, and it's citing more sources. How can you be an expert of something that can change overnight? So I don't claim myself to be an expert in LLM visibility, but I can at least claim that I keep track of everything that is going on, and I have an SEO experience that is very comparable to LLM visibility because it is the bridge between people, their content, and machines that are trying to make sense of all of that, of what people need and whether the page gives what they need. This is the fundamental knowledge that SEOs, among all other industries, can actually pride themselves in. They have been doing that for years. So if there is one industry that can figure out LLM visibility, that's absolutely SEO industry, especially if those SEO have been around for a while and have gone through all the mess that Google optimization for Google has been for those years. So how do you actually do Reddit marketing to build LLM visibility? One of the most frequent questions, and one of the questions that is already asked wrong. First of all, we need to understand how LLMs work and how they build those answers. Again, not talking about all LLMs out there. They are all different. Claude works a little bit differently from ChatGPT. Gemini is working a little bit differently because it relies on what Google has built for years on the infrastructure, signals, index, everything that ChatGPT doesn't have. So they are all a little bit differently. The fundamental part, though, for the real LLM platform is that they have training data. And training data is what is their knowledge of the world. By the way, I just saw a little bit off topic, but I just saw an update on LinkedIn that there is another artificial intelligence technology being built that does not rely on training data. They will be just like human beings with the knowledge and understanding based on experiments, practice, almost using stuff instead of actually finding out about it from sources. But that is going to be in distant future. So far, we are dealing with large language models, and that type of AI technology relies on training data, and training data is what we know we gave to LLMs. That training data, when we don't know how much Gemini is updating it, but we do know, at least we can guess, and there is official OpenAI documentation that kind of prove that training data is not so often updated. It is usually updated when there is a new launch of a new ChatGPT model, and we know that happens once in 6 months, sometimes once a year. So you can work on being positioned in training data for months without seeing results inside training data. How do you know what is inside training data is usually also a separate question. That is something you have to force ChatGPT not to search, for example, use APIs, use log out of ChatGPT. There are all kinds of ways, none of them 100% effective, but positioning in training data is fundamental. How does ChatGPT use training data when it comes to Reddit? We know they have the official agreement with OpenAI. I know they have some conflicts. I unfortunately don't know, and I don't know if they told us how that agreement or their partnership has been evolving. But what we know is that they did have an agreement with Reddit, allowing OpenAI using all of that data. What else do we know about training data? It has no links. There are no links to any threads there. It uses the whole ecosystem to create knowledge. So if you spend 1 or 2 threads that rank in Google for your brand name, and you made sure it's flooded with fake comments on how great you are, there is no chance in the world that will impact training data. Training data is the whole ecosystem of Reddit, your own consistent context in Reddit. That means you are always there, consistently changing the sentiment or clarifying pain points. And at that point, at some point with some ChatGPT update, that can make an influence on the training data. Again, training data is fundamental part of AI answers. What else is being used for AI answers? This is live searches in a very fancy technical term, which I don't like because it's not easy to understand. This is called grounding. In LLM world, when LLM agents actual live search to find answers to your prompt, they go just like people search, in most cases, Google. Gemini and ChatGPT at this point rely on Google a lot. Claude is different. I think it is using Brave. Perplexity, I think, is also using Brave Search, but those are not as big yet to make a lot of difference for your traffic or visibility. So everyone is still talking about ChatGPT and also Gemini optimization at this point. And those two mainly rely on Google. What happens in Google? Google ranks Reddit a lot. We all know that, especially for branded searches. Sometimes Reddit overranks official websites at this point. And what do we know about those rankings is that a lot of those threads are very old and archived and no way to influence the impact inside those threads or get them removed. Unfortunately, there is no easy way to do that. How do we tackle those? We create a different kind of context that is official, trusted, authority-driven, and uses authentic reviews and authentic comments from your customers. And those should be ranking for your branded names, for your branded queries, or at least balance those Reddit packs so that LLMs have any chance to find your official stance on any pain points that are being discussed on Reddit. What the knowledge about that, how it helps you with Reddit visibility, is very obvious. First of all, there are no quick wins here. Even if you manage to rank your self-serving fake review on Reddit for any of your branded queries, there is very little chance that ChatGPT will trust that and will include, and it will influence you, their answers about anything that you have to do with. The key here is that it takes a lot of time to get into training data and get trusted by ChatGPT or Google. There are no quick wins and there are no quick gateway. I always feel like I need a vacation when I say this word. There is no easy way into LLMs through Reddit. It could be done if you can achieve something, you can achieve maybe some awareness inside some subreddits if you spam them to death. But it usually ends very badly, and you have to deal with a lot of mess if you spam relevant subreddits. There is no quick way to rank those threads in Google, or for a long term at least, or get them included in LLM training and LLM citations. LLMs at this point, and it is actually very surprising, anytime I search ChatGPT to just try and find something behind the website. I have that exercise almost every day for my testing mostly. I give the name of the site to ChatGPT and ask it to find all the company information behind this, or all the contact, or all people behind the brand. And it will do more than Google search, more than checking training data. It will verify the claims. It will go to Better Business Bureau. It will check the company registration, official name. So it will do a lot of research. They are doing very well at this point to check what is fake and which claim should be checked, which fact should be verified. It is by just spamming Reddit, unfortunately, you will not get trusted. And one more thing, in most cases, ChatGPT, Gemini do not rely on Reddit for picking brands that they want to list as the answer to the query. In most cases, they use other sources that they trust, including their training data. And when they have the list of products or brands that seem to be a good answer to the prompt, they use Reddit, because it's user-generated content, to verify the reputation of each brand and verify if they are trustworthy enough to include in the answer. This is the second step. It's very obvious to even prove that when you prompt ChatGPT for something like best shoes for upstate spring or something like that this year, let's say, you will see that the first step, they check sources that just give you lists of those options, and those sources will be trustworthy if it's for running ChatGPT will most likely check Runner's World because they give very detailed, very well verified reviews and comparisons of different options. And after they pick all those products they want to list, at that point, it will go to Reddit and check what other people are saying about each option that is being listed. Reddit is very seldom used for brand discovery. ChatGPT, in most cases, already knows the brands that they want to check if they fit the answer, and that comes from the training data. And B, they know more trusted sources where they can pull that information from. And in most cases, that is not Reddit. So when you say Reddit is all I need for LLM visibility, this is profoundly wrong. Reddit is not enough in the first place. You need much more work for LLM visibility, including clarity on your own website, including consistency on your other channel, like social media channels, your subreddit, and including off-site mentions and co-citations and authority that you are building outside of your website. Those are key for LLM visibility. And B, what you need to know about when it comes to using Reddit for LLM visibility is that it is not being used for product discovery in most cases. It is being used to understand if your brand is trustworthy enough and have a good user-generated footprint to be worthy of being recommended to the end customer. And at this point, all your spamming can play absolutely the opposite role and can be actually the reason why ChatGPT, even knowing about your product and brand, will choose not to include you because you are using it in the wrong way. And smarty.com is where my newsletter lives. There I give screenshots, examples, and all this information in a much more readable way, so you can check it out. Please subscribe. This is where I share weekly, and this is where I also give links to join these events. So please subscribe, and we have a few minutes for your questions on April's questions. Again, April, here you go. Sorry, you were silent for all this time. I will be criticized for that again.
We have quite a few questions, actually. I'll start from the beginning. So, how valuable is it to have a verified profile for your brand? From Tristan.
On Reddit, it is not, first of all, not easy to do. It's a whitelist to be verified on Reddit, but it is definitely useful. We recommend everyone joining that waitlist. Did I say whitelist? To join that waitlist on Reddit and get verified. Without verification, it also works. We usually say that it is official, transparently official account. If it's a personal account, we make sure to label the brand affiliation anytime we talk about the brand. But it's definitely useful to have that feature. It's not as widespread at this point. Not many businesses have that because it's a closed invite only program at this point. But by all means, join the waitlist. I'm sure Reddit will take a lot of steps making sure that all people are humans and all brands are real, those that need visibility on Reddit.
We have another one that seems pretty long. So,
for a specific keyword, a particularly post is ranking in SERPs and is also being referenced by LLMs, but it contains negative commentary about my brand. Is there an effective and ethical way to create or encourage alternative Reddit discussions that could rank for the same keyword? Exactly what we are doing. We have a variety of clients. Trust me, you are not alone. Every other business have that problem. I will probably remove the comment. I'm sorry because it was blocking half of the screen. I hope everyone got the idea. So yes, there is a way. there are several ways that can help you, and all of them are pretty ethical. None of them is unfortunately fast. What we do for our clients is that we build official presence and official channel that can generate reviews and comments from your current customers. And we try make lots of steps on promoting that thread for it to be ranking in Google. It can be a lot of time based on your branded keyword difficulty. Let's put it like this. I don't like using third-party terms, but this is the easiest way to put it. How much your brand is searched, how much your brand is discussed on Reddit defines how difficult it's going to be to overrank that thread in search. There are all kinds of tricks that can help, but still it is not easy to predict. This is the method that we're using for all of our clients that have that problem. Even if you do not have that problem yet, it is a good idea to be proactive with that, because once Reddit starts ranking for your branded keyword, it's getting much more difficult to replace those threads versus if you already have collected and curated all the real reviews on your own official thread. It is going to be even much harder to push it away from search results. So being proactive with that is very important. Other methods that we can come up in the process of your Reddit marketing could be evaluation of those comments. In many cases, you would be surprised in how many cases those are outdated threads that no longer reflect what you are doing. Those threads ranking can be 4, 3, 5, 6 years old. And at that point, making sure that you have good relationships inside that subreddit with other members, with moderators, getting reach to moderators, explaining, proving, giving them proof that everything has changed. You took steps to eliminate those pain points. Those threads can be deleted at that point, but we never start with this strategy, with this tactic, because you need to be very well positioned on Reddit, have a very trusted footprint, and have good reputation inside that subreddit for those moderators even reply to your request. So this is usually step 2 that we take evaluating each particular case. Whew. We have time for at least 1 or 2 questions.
Yep. All right. We have another one.
We have a good amount of questions today. Reddit and LLMs. We need to talk more about that. Those 2 topics are like, okay, I'm in.
I guess I'll just start with this one first.
What are your thoughts on using Reddit as a platform for increasing brand relevance to a topic? This is absolutely great idea if you do that right. If you do that without trying to promote yourself, if you do that first of all for building authority and then for building relevance, because it is very easy if you only try to be relevant to get downvoted, to be accused of self-promotion. You have to have a good branding presence before you can go around Reddit and say that participate in low or high intent Reddit threads and build your relevant visibility as well. So it all comes to how much time you are ready to dedicate to that. Definitely helpful. Definitely something that we do for our clients, whether it's through training, whether it's through consulting, whether it's through research and discovering threads, helping craft those messages so that they are Reddit friendly. But that is definitely a good idea. And
also, I just want to mention like original research, like creating original studies and like sharing them on Reddit is like a really great way to increase brand relevance to a topic, while also providing like interesting, like it's not super on the nose for your brand, so Reddit gets like less angry about it. It's just like giving them giving them something entertaining is like the way to go for sure.
Entertaining, valuable, interesting. There are two things that really help with building both authority and relevance on Reddit. First of all, this being original resource of data definitely always helps in all kinds of ways, including relevance and authority. MAAs are also great. Also, you cannot do them too much, but I would definitely suggest doing a couple a year.
We have time for one more. We got one here. Well,
How would you recommend tracking the impact of working on in Reddit? Great question, because our clients ask that all the time. You know, every business has their own metrics they focus on, and we always try to educate them on what counts on Reddit. Most of our clients want views and clicks. And I say, well, those are two great metrics, but possibly not for Reddit, because views are different from niche to niche. In some industries and some topics, April knows she can boost your impressions through the roof. But in some industry, there are not so many views, just because the niche is much quieter, and they just do not engage with Reddit that much. So it's different all the time, and we do not give any guarantees unless we start getting deep in the topic and get our understanding of how active viewable it is. What we track for Reddit: definitely brand mentions around Reddit and outside of it, because sometimes in many cases Reddit users would recommend for or against a brand, and that would trigger branded searches. So we track branded searches, we track branded mentions, and we want consistent growth of the subreddit in terms of organic views and organic members, the most important one. So we want to see growth month over month. How much it grows, again, will depend on the topic. Some of them are very Reddit communities are all over the place. They're very active. They're daily. Those are usually skincare or dating. People are there all the time. And for some professional subreddits like CRM, even SEO, your target audience can have one problem a year. They go to Reddit, they find the solution, and they leave to kind of move on with their lives. So it's all different. We want to see positive growth in brand mentions, in branded searches, in membership of the subreddit. Well, the other metric that we are keeping an eye on is karma, but that's more for safety of the account rather than, it's not a success metric. It's something you have to keep an eye to make sure that your account is building reputation in a positive way. With that, I will address other questions after this live stream. Again, please join nsmarter.com to be able to see the topic that we're discussing here every week, as well as to have the link to join us with your questions. I really hope you found some value and inspiration. I guess the most challenging part of doing marketing, whether it's SEO, social media, whatnot, these days is finding inspiration and motivation. And we're here to give you some ideas of what you can do every week, and you can pick and choose and try anything. Please get in touch. Smarter.marketing is our agency where there is an option to schedule an absolutely free phone call with me. I will not sell you anything unless you want to be sold. I promise I will be very helpful. People who join me every week, please comment if you are here to let everyone know that I'm not selling if you just get in touch with me, unless you do want to be sold a service. So please get in touch if you need any questions. And Smarter.marketing is where you find the phone call, and smarter.com is where you subscribe to newsletter. Thank you so much, April. And see you next Wednesday with another exciting topic and inspiration for your strategy. Thank you and bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.